freedom. It'll always be freedom.
Welcome to Conversations in Anarchy. My name is Laura and I'm your host today. And as usually, I have some guests with me. And this time it's Lydia and Arturo de Leon from Geophilia. Hi guys, thank you so much for coming. How are you doing today?
Thank you for the invitation, Laura. It's so nice to be here with you.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's a pleasure to share this time with you.
It's a pleasure for me too. The first thing, could you please introduce yourself to the part of the audience that meet you for the first time?
Yes, sure. So my name is Lydia de Leon. I'm originally from Greece, and I'm a holistic architect, and also I'm dedicated to research and work with the ancient temples.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Arturo Ponce de Leon, and I studied telecommunications engineer, architecture, and psychology. And the passion of my life has been for more than 25 years sacred geometry. So fractal geometry, or like sacred geometry, it's also very well known. Applying these patterns to health and to holistic architecture and how to improve overall our coherence. And we've been doing many measurements. That's how actually Geophilia was created. Lydia, she made a PhD on how location affects health, and that's how we ended up putting together many of our companies into Geophilia.
And if you would explain to someone that doesn't know exactly what the sacred geometry architecture is and what holistic architecture is comparing to like simple architecture, how would you explain?
Arturo can talk about the sacred geometry because he's expert and he has been teaching sacred geometry 25 years and he's written 3 books. But before we go into that, I just wanted to say about holistic architecture or conscious architecture, what we call, is in general putting many parameters together to create a space that is healing and harmonic. So from the materials, from the geometry, from the layout, permaculture, there is a lot of bioclimatic design. There is a sacred geometry, of course, things that come from the ancient traditions like the Taoist philosophy, the 5 elements. So it's a lot of things. Also the geobiology, which is what Arturo was sharing before about how location can affect our health. And so making sure that the location is good. So it's a whole list of things that we have put together that we call it the Geophilia design system. And so one parameter is sacred geometry.
Yeah, I can tell you in extremely easy terms. So everybody that is new to this world can understand it. The same way you have junk food, like really crappy, the worst quality food, you have healthy organic food. So the same concept from junk food and organic food, the same concept is for architecture. It's just that we're not aware. So there is junk architecture that implies unhealthy materials that off gas, that even though they are supposed to be new, they keep emitting a lot of poison and a lot of toxic things. The type of design, the orientations, etc. There's the same way there is junk architecture, there is like an organic, healthy version of architecture, which incorporates the same way with organic food that you have, like non-GMO, and you have, like all the characteristics of organic food. You have characteristics of healthy organic architecture, which incorporates form, shapes, materials. What Lydia was saying, it's more technical, but the location of a house, actually, if you have a land where you're going to locate your house, it has a big implications. And it's that concept, the same concept of organic food versus junk food, organic architecture and junk architecture. And we have seen that so much, like nowadays, that they just, create skyscrapers. There is something that it's a concept, can sound a little bit fancy, but it's a simple concept, which is called Faraday cage. Imagine, like a bird that is living in a little cage made of metal. And this little bird in the metal house actually is isolated from the natural energy of the earth. And this is not something, like mystical or esoteric. It's actually something that you can measure. With a simple device, you can measure how inside this box the electromagnetic field is distorted. So that's what happens in our houses or in our offices or in our buildings.
Now, what do you explain a little bit in simple terms what is sacred geometry?
Yes, sacred geometry is a type of geometry that creates life. It's a type of geometry we all studied, triangles and pentagons and whatever you name it, different types of geometries. The type of geometry that creates life, it's fractal geometry. And fractal means any shape that is repeated inside. Imagine like a triangle. And then in every part of the triangle, you create another triangle. And then inside you create another one and another one and another one. So through this fractality, you create more coherence or you create more harmony or more health. Actually, if you see, for example, temples, you can see that they have really high level of fractality. Everything in nature is fractal. There is no such thing as a straight line, for example. If you see, microscopically, you see a bamboo, you will see that it has, a lot of intricate patterns inside. And in our architecture and in our designs in the modern time, we try to create something that is alienated from nature. It's literally disintegrated from nature.
And you guys have been participating on Anarchapulco's Non Conformist series, last edition. That was Expressions of Freedom, and you were actually opening the whole series, telling about this, junk architecture versus healthy, holistic architecture. And you have been talking a lot about materials and energies and how this all together influences us. So just a note to the audience, if you haven't been able to watch it, it's still possible to watch a replay. So you should go to anarchapulco.com. The link is going to be in the description below, and you can still be able to watch Lydia's and
We have actually participated another 2 times in the Non Conformist series, talking about communities one time, and the other time it was about the 5 levels of our being, in internal world and external world. So there are also replays on that. And this year in 2026, it will be our combined, like being together, 5th time participating in Anarchapulco, which we're so excited about. And Arturo is his 6th because he was also there in 2018. Okay, so we have like a whole history with Anarchapulco and the Non-Conformist series, like both. We have also been in Serbia. We have I haven't counted Serbia in that. So we have also been presenting in that.
So were you there on the first Liverpulco?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So then those that are watching, like right now, before the 1st of December, Anarchapulco has actually this Black Friday deal that if you buy a ticket to the next edition of Non-Conformist series that is coming in the end of December, you can actually have all the previous editions for free. And so that means that you can listen to Lydia and Arturo's presentations through the Non-Conformist series, several editions. So yes, consider that and act fast. But what I wanted to ask you guys is, like with the junk and healthy foods, at least around myself, I can notice that despite it has been talked about so much, and it's kind of, for some people, like probably us, it's so understandable that, okay, that's the junk is not something that we should consume, and also all the stuff that is added to the food or to some products, or most of the products that are possible to buy in the shops as food, is full of stuff and preservatives and whatever, like long lists often. But still, there are so many people that are not aware of this at all. They haven't even thought about this. And I think it's something like this in architecture, in building of the living spaces still, that people are not actually aware of what the materials really are. Like, for example, as you also mentioned in the Non Conformist series, that a wood, it can be perceived as a natural material, but if it's full with synthetic bindings, it's actually not so natural as people might think. What do you think, why people still are not aware of this? And most of the people are choosing actually this junk materials instead of other
Yeah, I think that
healthier.
people do not have enough information. So you will hear so many people, especially today, from the biohacking world or from the wellness world or nutritionists, people talk a lot about nutrition today. And it's coming more and more out, research and results about GMO, about this and that. So all the chemicals and the pesticides and all these things. Of course, again, not everyone has the information because not everyone is interested, right? There is a big majority of people, for example, in USA, I think that they are not interested. But in general, if you compare the amount of information that is there about how our nutrition can affect our health in so many different ways, there is just a fraction of that, about information, about how our health can be affected by our architectural spaces. So that's why we're also so passionate about it, because what we teach in Geophilia in what we call the space or life harmonics, basically we're talking about, in simple words, basically we're talking about having harmonics internally in our physical body, in our emotions, in our intellect, and all these 5 levels. But we also need the same thing in our external environment. So the magic happens if we really are going for our optimum wellness, to be the best we can in all levels. We need to figure out our internal world and our external environment and bring them both in harmony. So our external environment is mostly our houses. And of course, if people are, spending many, many hours in an office or in work, that also will affect because it's a long time. And so there is not enough information. And that's something we are reaching out many times. And we're talking to people that are wellness experts. And then people are getting sick. They are trying to fix their gut, or their microbiome. And there are amazing things now coming out, and supplements and therapies and red light therapy and sauna and I don't know what. And then their house has mold, and they don't know about it. And they are so sick and the symptoms keep coming and they're doing so much. And then there is very little result. Or their bed is on what we call a geophysical anomaly, which is what I did my PhD on, which is, there is an underground water, or there is a fault, or there is some kind of anomaly in the area below the bed. And so that creates also a magnetic or gravitational anomaly. So that affects the body during the night heavily, especially on the long term. And so there are things in our space that are equally important as, the food that we take in, or, our mental state, our emotional state, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So, but if a person listens to this now and realizes, oh my God, I'm living in this cage, in this box, and I don't have probably a possibility to change this immediately to like something 100% better, what are the small things that every and each of us can do right now with our environment?
Yeah, I will link it with the previous question about now, like as humanity, we're taking some consciousness regarding the internal world. And because that has been for some decades now, we're having more consciousness to the external world, what Lydia was saying. So something like people can do in very simple terms, like, like, okay, I cannot change my house. I cannot go somewhere else. What can I do? The best thing to do is to be as natural as possible. That means that everything that you touch or everything that you relate to, everything that you are in contact is natural. What do I mean? If you have, your sheets, in your bed made of plastic or these acrylic materials, you change them for cotton. That's something easy to do. If you have, for example, fluorescent lights, like these
That's the big one.
Blue fluorescent lights, you change them for full spectrum LED, which are their like more warm colors. Those you don't need to invest big amount of money, and you can just do these little things. Other thing, for example, is at night, you turn off your Wi-Fi if you're not using it, turn off. Like if you can, the whole electricity of the house is even better. Of course, you will not turn off the switch of the fridge, etc. But if you can turn off all the switches at night, that's going to help you in very, easy, simple ways. Other thing is to think how you can have sunlight, how you can make the sun goes into your house. That's, like super simple. Maybe opening a little bit a window, maybe, do simple changes to do that. And something that we'll say for people that cannot change, that they're living in these Faraday cages, in these, metal boxes. Maybe they're working sometimes in these metal big skyscrapers, like a box within a box within a box. What happens is that people sleep in a box and then, a Faraday cage, and then they go in a car, which is another metal box in a Faraday cage, and then they go to their office, which is another box, metal cage. They're all day there, and then they go back home in a box, metal box car inside. So they never break this loop. So the best way to do it is earthing. So find 30 minutes a day to really put your, like being barefoot in the ground, in the grass, in the soil.
Yeah. And if you cannot do that, of course, some people live in the city and it's not always easy. There are also grounding mats and things like that you can have inside the house. So there are hacks. And actually, I just recently gave a course which is called Biohack Your Space. I just share simple things that people can do in existing spaces, because we have remodeled several spaces and we can do a redesign, an internal redesign, which doesn't mean that we break walls or anything. The structure remains as it is. And then we can use like really good paints. We have additives like crystal powders that we add into the paint, and that changes completely everything. There are remedies if your bed is on a fault or in a water line, which was my case many years ago, and I actually got sick from that. That's how I got into all that for my path at that time. And so there is remedies for that. There is remedies for 5G, for EMF, we're just sitting next to one as we speak. So there is many things that we can do, and they are simple. We don't have to change a house. Of course, for all of you rebels listening out there, if you can get your own land and build an off-grid house with sacred geometry and all the natural materials, well, that's the best ever. That's where we live in Mexico for the most of the year that we spend in Mexico. That's where we are, and it's a completely different quality of life, for sure.
Yeah, but if you cannot, you can
Exactly.
You can make some remedies.
And also, in the Non Conformist series, you were mentioning off-grid, but also eco-villages. Do you guys know any that you would suggest our audience to visit? Because I know that there are several people out there looking for places and communities to join.
Absolutely, yes. One is there is a Global Eco-Village Network, GEN. You check online, Global Eco-Village Network, and they gather almost all the eco-villages that are fully functional. What happens with eco-village is that many people have the dream, I want to live in an eco-village. I want to, like be in an eco-village. I want to create an eco-village. And 9 out of 10 fail. It's a very difficult task. Why? Because usually people will come with the same structure, internal structure, to reproduce that internal structure in a new paradigm, in a new system. So the best is actually, wherever you're living, to visit many eco-villages. There are actually tours, eco-village tours.
Yeah. But also we want to mention that we are doing our own small community where we are based on specific things. We have like very specific parameters for the people that we can admit. So if anybody is interested, they can reach out to us. And yeah, it's happening slowly and steadily, and we're gathering people as we speak. But this is in Mexico, right? So if you are anywhere in the world and you want to join an eco-village, that's the place that Arturo mentioned. On the other hand, me and Arturo, we do that kind of work because we've both done eco-village design training. So we both spent time in different eco-villages, and we did a whole course on how to design eco-villages. So we absolutely love that. We think that this is, the way to go for the future, the off-grid part and the eco-village part. So like-minded people getting together, and that's the way we can support each other with whatever crazy things, are going to unravel maybe in the next few years, who knows. So that's how we bring like more sustainability and more support to each other. That's how we see it.
When you are talking about the eco-village design, do you talk more about the physical structure, or do you talk also then about relationships and communication building and stuff like that?
Very, very good question. When you do eco-village design, you take into consideration 4 aspects. So you take the social aspect, the economic aspect, the physical design, like the architecture, master planning, etc., and something is called the vision aspect, which is like the spiritual or the vision, relation that everybody will have.
The spiritual values.
Yeah. So you take into consideration both the internal and the external aspects of an eco-village. And we have seen that doing an eco-village, I will say, it's different an eco-village than a community. So a community is the internal bonding that people will come together because we have a meaning in common. We have something deep, we share a deep meaning, and that bonds us, that meaning. Whereas an eco-village is the actual village, it's the physical place, the physical buildings, that you can have an eco-village without a community. You follow me? The community is the internal bonding, the people. You can have a virtual community. Nobody, no one is living together and they're a community. For example, Anarchapulco is a big community and people are not living together in an eco-village. Whereas you can have both things. You can have a community living in an eco-village. So the eco-village is the place, the physical place. It can be an eco-village in terms because it's using ecological materials, but also it can be a village, like a simple village.
Yeah, I guess what most of the people that are not in an eco-village yet, what they are looking for is exactly the community as well as the physical place that could be more healthy and self-sustained, and that it's a challenging thing. It's not so easy always to build something like this, and that it actually works on a long term. Only like the question, okay, how it's going to be owned. Is it going to be one owner that buys a big land and sells it to other people, or is it going to be like a community that actually kind of buys it together? Originally, there are so many questions, but still, it's very interesting and intriguing for, I believe, for most of the people, or for very many that are coming to Anarchapulco at least. This is quite interesting question. But if we move towards your cooperation, or you being participating in these different Anarchapulco events, both physical and virtual, how did it all started? How did Anarchapulco find you, or did you find Anarchapulco, or how was it?
Well, that's a very good question, actually. I've been collaborating with a very good friend and partner, business partner, Dan Winter. He is an expert in the terms of, he's a physicist, expert in sacred geometry. Dan Winter, he's living in France. I'm living in Mexico. We're living half in Mexico, half in Greece. But at that time, 2018, he contacted me like, hey, Arturo, they're inviting me to give a talk in Anarchapulco, but I cannot fly all the way there, from France to Acapulco. So can you just go and give the talk? Because I've been collaborating with him. I know all his work. I translated many of his books. I took him all around Latin America for like 10 years. So I'm very familiar with everything that he has been doing. So I told him, yeah, of course, let me check it out. That's how I actually went to Anarchapulco the first time. 2018, it was in this big hotel, the Princess Hotel. And they have an area that was like the main stage, and then they have another area for wellness and well-being. And that's where I gave my talk. And then since there, we've been every year there.
Okay. That's interesting to know. And then, Lydia, how did you join?
Well, we've been together since 2017, so I would have made it in the first one, but I was in Greece at that time, and I was just presenting that year my PhD, so it was not a time for me to travel and do things like that. I was actually on the phone with him, and he was sharing pictures, and I was like, oh, I'm so jealous. I also want to be there, but I couldn't make it, so it happened after.
Okay, I understand. And without giving too much away, what are you guys going to be talking about on this coming Anarchapulco?
Yeah, we have made some short videos about the very general what we're going to share. So for many years now, we've been teaching about the sacred science of ancient temples, about sacred geometry and holistic architecture, and we have explored that a lot. And of course, there's still more that we can share. But this time, we are sharing some really brand new content that we haven't shared before live publicly. And it's a lot of research that we do because we have a lot of different interests. For example, we have a membership that is all about all these different things. So it's not only about architecture. So for me, I will be sharing about a lot of data and actual evidence that I have collected from both ancient writings and modern and scientific analysis of a time that there was no moon. So my presentation is called Before the Time There Was a Moon. And so I will be exploring a lot with a lot of different evidence. And it's really mind-blowing subject. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, that sounds really something new. And are you guys going to be speaking separately or together on this topic?
Yeah, no, she will be doing that presentation. I'm going to do another presentation, and Yeah, we've been exploring, as Lydia said, a lot of architecture and bioarchitecture and communities and sacred geometry and health, etc. But this time I'm going to be sharing about pre-cataclysmic architecture, which means that I will go very deep with scientific evidence, like peer-reviewed papers of how all these, I'm talking about 10, 12, 13, 30, 36,000 years ago, how ancient civilizations, what it's called, ancient civilizations, actually build the amazing stone work and the temples and all these crazy things that
Really
even
crazy.
with I'm going to do all the mathematical engineering aspect comparison to say, okay, this is what you need to build this temple. And at that time, it's supposed that they were using, copper tools and some
Primitive
ropes. And it's just, as an engineer, impossible to do, which means I'm going to be talking a lot about ancient civilizations, like different ancient civilizations that as humanity, we have gone through many cycles. It's not something esoteric. There are hundreds, even thousands of peer-reviewed papers with solid evidence. It's just that the same way we all know that media is full of lies, like all the history books is just a big lie. So I'm going to be sharing about that.
Yeah, and we think that this information is really important because, for all the people that are coming to Anarchapulco, freedom fighters, anarchists, and all that, it's important that we get as close as we can to the real truth of what has happened before us. So we can learn from that and we can build a different future. But we are a culture at this time, a culture with amnesia. We don't know what has happened in our previous cycles. It's hidden from us for many reasons. So both our presentations are going to show evidence on that, and it's going to shed light on what really may have happened, highly possibly with all the evidence we present. And so it's important to understand the continuation of all these previous cycles, and then, how we can plan for our future.
Yeah, that is me as a mom of a boy who is homeschooled. I often get this question.
Amazing.
What about the good education? How are you going to be able to be sure that your son gets a good education? And it's like things like you guys have been working with and going to be talking about. It's things like that are you're not going to be able to read it in a school book, and it's basically that's the way how to get at least a spark of an idea that, okay, what if it actually was like this and not how it was written in or how it is written in the school books. So it sounds really exciting, those themes that you guys are going to be presenting. But there is one more thing that you're going to be presenting just after the Anarchapulco. And that's probably a new thing.
So we actually have two things. Yes, we have two things. One is we are doing a short workshop of 2 hours, if I remember correctly, which is during Anarchapulco. So we have a workshop going on there, and it's going to be very special because we're going to talk about soulmate relationships and how to actually get there. And this has been very integral part of our paths, finding each other from the other parts of the world, the other side of the world, and how to cultivate that and how to work on yourself to make that happen in your life and sustain it. And it's an ongoing work. So that's one workshop, short, compared to the second one that, yes, we're doing workshops. We've done almost every time we've done a workshop in Anarchapulco. So we are doing a temple tour which we have been discussing with Katerina for a while. And this year, I think it's finally happening. I mean, 2026. So this is called a temple tour around the area of Mexico City. So it's going to happen 2 days after Anarchapulco finishes. So we're going to do that 23 to 25th of February. And so there is time for people to move from Puerto Vallarta, because now we have a different location, to the area of Mexico City. And we're going to explore, the most incredible places, some known like Teotihuacan, which is so powerful, but you'll get to hear, all the deep, more like complex things from me and Arturo about its location, its materials, its technology, the sacred geometry, the astronomy. This is all the things we do. And we also do activations. We do meditations on the sites, because with all the research I've done, I've decoded very specific functions with the ancient temples. And one of them is altered states of consciousness. So yes, and that I've shared in the previous Anarchapulco several times, a temple is actually a natural hallucinogen. So it can take you there because you produce high amounts of your own hallucinogens, which is called pineoline, actually. Anyway, so we're going to do that to reach these outer states, and also to work with the temple energy and activate the temples, and also work with the temple grid, which is very important for our future. Very, very important. And also we're going to visit some less known places, some that Arturo knows only as a Mexican, and some that I've also discovered and have very interesting links with Atlantis and the previous cycles of civilization. So we're going to decode all that. And we're also going to visit 2 incredible museums that have some of the craziest artifacts in the world, and that doesn't come from me. Nassim Haramein and other people that we have done tours with in these places, it's just, you cannot explain these artifacts. They are completely advanced technology, and there's no way with copper tools that you can have these objects. So we're going to be visiting those. And of course, we'll have some amazing Mexican food together, curated by us. And yeah, we'll get to share and exchange all these ideas on sites and also off site. And I think it's going to be really special this time.
Yeah,
Did
it
I forget
sounds
something?
like a really amazing experience that one might has a possibility to get, because it is really not just like visiting. Everybody can visit some of the temples or pyramids, but it's totally different what you are offering to actually experience, and actually to get to learn about those places and everything that is there. So I feel that the people that gonna be coming to Anarchapulco are like just gonna be needing really long time to digest everything and implement, and wow, it's gonna be really mind-blowing experience.
It's a
So
time also to practice things. So it's not only learning and listening, but it's actually an interactive experience where you get to actually have like the field around you and do that work, not only learn intellectually, but actually embody it and integrate it. So we do these temple retreats every year, usually. So last year we did with Nassim Haramein, for example. We did Greece, 15 days. It was really deep. We've done Egypt, we've done Mexico,
Guatemala.
we are just leaving in 2 days now to Guatemala for 12 days there. We're leading another temple retreat. So it's very powerful work. And, for the people of Anarchapulco, we thought like to do a short one, just 3 days. It's going to be like powerful, but then short. So, people are not overwhelmed with a 10 or 12-day temple retreat. And there are things around the area of Mexico City that are extremely interesting.
yeah, I know that I have heard that as you said, the temples itself can be like, or can activate, if I understood it correctly, in a person, this natural I cannot pronounce it. Hallucinogen.
Hallucinogenic.
Yeah, yeah.
Hallucinogen, yes, natural
And
hallucinogen.
and I know that several like these uh, people that are working with plant medicine and stuff like this that are also providing the experience through those kind of things have been talking lately a lot about that. It's one thing that you are able to experience and learn there and then when you're doing this, but the very, very important thing after that is to be able to implement it in your life, that it's not just, oh, okay, it was so amazing, it happened for, I don't know, some days, and I could feel it for a week, but then slowly I get back to my old life and old habits and old kind of patterns, and then it slowly disappears, and then it's like, oh, I need to do it again because I actually haven't implemented anything. So I guess that is also a part that people should take with them when they go home after these
Absolutely. And
big.
we have seen several times in these retreats that, of course, they are longer, but it can also happen in 3 days that you really birth the next version of yourself through the work with the group and the meditation and the energy of the temple. It can be, that you have like a clear download on what you're meant to do in something in your life, or what's the next decision, or, maybe you need to change the direction of your life, whatever that is. Deep healing and clarity and things like that can happen. So it can be like the most transformational experience for many people, if they do the work and they tap into the field and all that. And it can be really a radical transformation in all kinds of different things. It's actually also for us, every time that we do this work and we go to the temples and all that, it's deeply transformative.
Yeah, that I haven't tried it yet, so that's in front of me. But yeah, notice to the audience that is watching, the tickets for the temple tour is not out yet, but they are coming on the nearest future, like in hopefully next week. So check it out on anarchapulco.com, and yeah.
So beginning
Keep
of
the
December, let's say, for people that maybe listen to this video later. So
yeah. So if you're listening in the beginning of December, then check the webpage out in a while. And if you're listening later, then it's definitely out there already. Yeah, what I wanted to ask, can you talk a little bit about the projects that you have been designing or being part of designing and building? Could you tell our audience a bit more about that work?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we have designed, I think, more than 40 projects overall, like in 2 decades. And we have built some of them. One that we like a lot that actually is like 1 hour from Mexico City, it's called Centro Aiki. It's a healing center. And you can check online, like you go to geophilia.org, you will see like our portfolio, you will see many projects, but you can check where you have all the projects. There is one that is called Centro Aiki. You will see their pictures and renders. It's like a torus shape. The torus is like a donut shape, like an apple. And in the center, there is an opening with a huge geometry. It is like 5.5 meters diameter geometry. And it's just in the center. And the whole thing we conceptualize as a torus field. And for those that are not familiar with that geometry, our heart emits an electromagnetic field that actually you can see it as a torus. When you have a magnet and you have the north and south pole and you put a little bit of, iron, you will see that actually they create a torus shape, which is like this shape of a donut. And it's a very, very powerful geometry, the toroidal geometry. Everything in the universe moves as a torus or as a toroidal field. And that's really complex, like it's a simple geometry, but from there you can extrapolate a lot of information. So we've been doing that. There is also another house of a client that she's just about to finish building, and we're going to be weaving geometries.
Who actually found us through Anarchapulco, by the way. She's an anarchist.
Oh.
Yeah, she's an anarchist, and we designed the whole house. She's just about to finish, like the main structure on they're moving into the second stage, which is finishes. So before the final floor, what we do is that we weave sacred geometry patterns with metal wire, and then they will put the final floor. So we have tested what is the result of doing those geometries woven under the floor. It's just fascinating because we've been doing that for 20 years in different houses, different places, spas, hotels, etc. But specifically, we did that, I think 4 or 5 years ago in the warehouse where the biggest organic producer of Greece, where he stored his seeds. So he has, let's say, an old warehouse. And then he needed to extend. He needed more space. So he built another warehouse. And this new warehouse, he couldn't change anything. He couldn't change the design. He couldn't change the materials. He couldn't change anything. It was all actually prefab and concrete and metal. But he asked us, can you do something to improve, the life force of the seeds? So what we did is that we wove 800 square meters geometry before the final floor. And we add some powders, some crystal powders and some special powders that we have just in the concrete slab. From that, he stored the same seeds in the new warehouse. And when he planted them in the field, he sent us pictures after 1 year, like, I don't understand what you do, but this thing actually works. And he has twice, 2 or 3
times. Yeah, the pictures are actually in the landing page of our website, geophilia.org. If you scroll a bit down, you will see the difference between the seeds that he stored in the old area of his warehouse versus the one that we did the floor work, basically. We didn't even get to do the whole design. So that's really powerful work.
It's powerful. And we have also tested, with humans, like someone that is living in a place. And actually, some people say, sacred geometry, I don't want to see sacred geometry explicitly, because if you see, like, Arab architecture has a lot of sacred geometry, like explicit forms and explicit geometries. And some people say, okay, it's too much for me. I don't like to see so much geometry. So we also do all this work, and the geometries are there, but they're hidden and they work.
Yeah. And there is also another beautiful project I want to add, that it's a healing hotel in the area of Tulum that is actually now under building permits, which sometimes take time in Mexico if it's a big project. And so we have rooms that were designed according to the chakra system, and every room has a different frequency and a different color and different geometry. And they are all like in this elliptical shape. And there are other things like a shala, there is meditation areas. It's like a whole master plan. So a holistic master plan is a really important aspect. If you really want to do like a beautiful harmonic space, if it's a bigger project, it's not about randomly placing things here and there and kind of Frankensteining, as I like to say. So 2 years later, I'll just add this here and this here, and it has no harmony, because every project is like its own being. So the best thing you can do is, with people like us or any other, holistic architect you like, but is to create this really very harmonic master plan that takes into consideration many things, and everything is planned out for the future, even if it gets built 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, it doesn't matter, but it has been integrated since the beginning. So it's not like, you know, a hand there and a leg there and the face is upside down and everything looks, you know, actually very disharmonic in that way. So that's a really important part of this kind of work.
So that the vision and concept is very clear, and then it depends on how, like, the pyramids or the money flow is going and how it's possible to build, but the vision is very clear.
Master
yes?
plan though is not only vision, like the vision is super important, as you say. I mean, without vision, people perish. That's like a quote from one of the amazing teachers that I've learned from, writer and author. But the master plan is like literally what area has what function. So maybe you don't design the building at that time when you have the master plan laid out, but you know, in that area I'll have a meditation space. In that area I'll have a spa. In that area is very good for more social things. So, you know, in that area I'll place the heart of the space, which is something we also do a lot of work with. The heart of the whole project of the master plan. So the way it's going to be manifested into the physical in the design could be different things, but we know the energetics because we've done all the analysis of that project that the heart goes there, for example. So it lays out everything, and then we can go into more detail. Okay, now let's design the heart. Okay, it's going to be a building, or it's going to be an outdoor space, or it's going to be this and that, and then we get to design it. But we have already, you know, left that space for that function for the future.
Okay. So then this healing hotel near Tulum is still in the under construction and under, so it's not physical yet. It's planned and designed,
but people
it's not
can see
yet.
People can see online, you know, the whole project, and it was also featured in an architectural magazine. Okay. So yeah, we had that honor, and the team that birthed that project is really amazing. Like, beautiful energy. It's a group of 4 people, so yeah.
Okay, but this the first one you mentioned, this center that is finished already with this huge space in the center.
It's called Anarchy. Yeah, that you can visit. It's actually a beautiful place. Like, if you're around Mexico City, it's like 1 hour from Mexico City. You can visit that. And if you are, it's not so close. It's like 6 hours from Mexico City. It's called Jalapa. It's an area south. No, sorry. It's not south. It's not south.
I was like,
no. I was thinking of Acapulco. No, Jalapa, Veracruz is to the east. There is a Montessori school that actually was one of the first projects that we did, and the owner, very, very committed. He said, I don't want to use almost nothing of artificial materials and industrialized materials. So it's a Montessori school. It's located in 2,500 square meters of land, and the whole construction is like 1,200 square meters. It has like a double spiral, a double golden phi ratio spiral. So it's really beautiful. He had a little part, like 2 rooms at the very beginning, and he told us, okay, I want to expand. There are more children that want to come to the Montessori, so I want to expand. So he built the whole structure. We designed it, and he said, like, I don't want to see, you know, concrete. I don't want to see metal and steel and the typical thing. So it's all natural materials. If you want to visit that, it's called Bios Lila Montessori. It's in Jalapa. All the structure is made of bamboo. The foundation is made with stone. Walls are made with
sillar?
No, not sillar. Straw bale.
Straw bale, right.
And then they're plastered with natural materials, with earth, painted with natural materials. So, of course, they're using wood also because the area has a lot of wood, solid wood, not, and like not plywood or
particle boards.
Particle boards. So it's all solid wood, and linseed oil, no varnish. Like, it's just gorgeous. They have a green roof. It's just gorgeous. The only thing that he used industrialized was and actually you could have avoided, but requires a lot of work. The way that you have to put together the bamboos, the sticks of bamboo, he was using a little bit of pernos, steel, a little bit of steel to
connect them.
But apart from that, everything else is natural. It's just gorgeous.
But how is it? Because sometimes already building something very typical and very kind of mainstream, you can struggle with good workers that are able to do that in a way you want. When people are like so brave and bold and making these great plans, have you heard how they have been able to find builders? Has it been easy or has it been difficult?
Yeah, we actually do that. We help them find the right builders because, I'm from Mexico, so I'm pretty well connected with all Latin America. We actually just finished a 3-day international congress of bioarchitecture and natural building. So we know almost everybody that is doing things. And it's a small community, actually, it's a small community, and the builders, the guys that knows how actually to implement it, we put them in contact so they do it. And if not, any builder that has an open mind, an open heart, it's very easy to teach them how to do it.
If they're a little teachable, basically, that's all.
Yeah, you don't need, because if you're already in the building industry, it just makes absolute sense. It's not rocket science. It's actually the way we have been built as humanity for hundreds, thousands of years. So the new thing, industrialized materials, it's something that you have to learn. But the natural materials, it's something that is just there. It's natural for us to build like that. Of course, you need to know the properties, you need to know many things about how to implement them, but it's very doable. Very doable.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good to know for the people that might be interested, that it's not only planning, but you can suggest people who can actually build that. That's a very big deal. But then how does it feels for you? It should be like amazing if one thing is to plan and things and put so much energy into thinking and designing and stuff, but then to actually visit the place when it is actually standing. Can you share a bit how it is for you guys to be in a place?
It's fascinating, it's like all that work, all that intellectual process, spiritual process to really connect and link the earth, the sky, the astronomical projections, and the client, the person, and then see it materialize. It's amazing. And we work very close with the builders because sometimes it's like, okay, what do I do with this? They're very, when they're with open mind, it's very easy because you will tell them, okay, you will not use a cement-based plaster. You will use a calcium-based or magnesium-based plaster. So for them, it's like, wow, what is that? And when they start to use it, it's like, this is just the same thing. It's just more natural and it's better. And the same thing when you're building with natural materials, with earth or with rammed earth, etc. It's exactly the same. You just need to know how to do it. And people love it. Like, we as humans, we're meant to build our own houses. Like any animal, they will find a cave or they find something or they build their homes, they build their houses. So when you start to connect to earth, you literally touch earth and you start experimenting with earth. In the Congress, we had more than 35 experts for 3 days. It was in Spanish. At some point, we'll do one in English. But what everybody was saying, we have the top experts in bamboo, people that are building, thousands of square meters of bamboo and natural material. We have really the best of the best in Latin America. And we were all sharing the same things. The same virus, I call it, that the Matrix put in many people of you have to save money, buy a house that someone else will do for you, and, take a mortgage for 20, 30, 50 years, and you're always in this thing because of a house. Well, that's not true. If you have a community and you learn a little bit and you really open your heart, and the earth will tell you how to build. Of course, you need guidance. You need information, but it's more the attitude. I have seen people that with the attitude. I will tell you a story. This is fascinating. We had, in the previous Guatemala retreat that we did for 12 days, we had a person that attended, and he told us, I build my own house. I'm not an architect. I'm not a builder. I just start slowly building my own house. It's a gorgeous house. Like when he showed me the pictures, it's like, this is a piece of art. It took him 15 years. He built it all by himself with 2 or 3 people that was helping. So slowly, he built the whole thing. Of course, he had the time and he had the energy and the effort. But what I'm saying is that it's very doable. Like it's something we all can do.
That is interesting to hear, because I would think that, for example, I myself, I'm not a builder or anything like this. That would be very, very curious to try and see if I also would feel like this. Despite right now, I would think that, oh no, not me. I would never do that myself. Yeah, that's really interesting. We need to start rounding up. It has been very exciting. So you are participating and sharing your knowledge and experience on many different platforms. Could you share how people can find you if they're not coming to Anarchapulco, if they're not,
Sure.
being able to meet you?
First of all, we have geophilia.org, geophiili.org. So this is our website that has everything there. You can reach out to us to connect if you're interested in a project. We also have an educational platform there where we have some online courses. Like I have the Sacred Science of Ancient Temple. Arturo has 2 courses on sacred geometry. And I have another one called Biohack Your Space. We also have an online membership, which is called Return to the Temple. So we share there almost every possible aspect of many things that we covered today on how to create sacred space in your home, Atlantis and ancient civilizations, sacred geometry, how to bring more sacredness into your life daily, basically. There is also a free PDF that people can get. When you get to our website, you will see a pop-up that says, download the PDF, The 7 Secrets on How to Create a Sleep Sanctuary. So that's a freebie you can get. And it's like a very rich PDF on, after many, many years of my own research, having issues with sleeping. So how to create the perfect environment in terms of architecture in your room for very, very good sleep, which is so important for health. Like it's one of the number 1, 2, 3, you need to do that absolutely if you want your optimum health and wellness. So there is also our numbers for Telegram, and people can reach out Telegram in WhatsApp as well. And there is also a lot of material. I mean, if you go in resources, there is a lot of interviews, and we share a lot of things there. People can check it out if they want to learn some videos for free that they can learn things that we teach.
Yeah, there are also many articles,
tons of
PDFs, tons of projects to get inspired and say, yes, I can build my house, or I can hire Geophilia or just do it. That's the important thing.
Great stuff. Thank you so much. It has been very, very enriching and interesting conversation. And yes, so guys, you that are watching, if you are not able to come to Anarchapulco, please visit geophilia.org. The link is in the descriptions below, and check Lydia's and Arturo work out. It sounds like it's worth it. So thank you so much for your watching. And yeah, peace, love, and anarchy. Thank you.
Same to you.